These episodes are absolutely everywhere right now, but let's jump into episode 31 review of Donbrothers. Now, this had a really kind of nice opening where everyone's kind of eating, I'm guessing, noodles or certain different types of noodles. And I've always kind of seen this as when you go to like certain restaurants or something that you can see like certain elements. Like it kind of reminds me of the sort of restaurants in Japan that you go on, and they're a little bit weird. They're not like, hey, I'll order some food and that they arrive. So seeing this, I kind of thought, do you know what? I like it. Now they're talking about who is the fifth Donbrother, who is Ini brother or Inu brother. And I generally was like, you should have kind of figured this out now, guys. It probably wouldn't take too long. But when Tari turns around and goes, yeah, I think it's Inazuma, it's like, oh, okay, no, it can't be him because, you know, we fought alongside, or we know him, or it's not him, I've seen him. I think, yeah, it's more like Kinijo turns around and says, hey, I've seen him a lot, and I know it's not him, otherwise I would have guessed. But we kind of get like a little flashback to one of the previous episodes, where effectively it is mainly where you see Ini brother kind of eating from the dog bowl when Tari was trying to get everyone to be dead nice to him, to kind of accept him into the team. And then it's the smell that he gave off. And he's like, no, it's definitely the same smell. When I passed him earlier, I knew it was him. And everyone's like, silly, it's not him at all. And it's kind of like, maybe listen to Tari. I know you don't like him. Maybe turn around and listen to him. Some of this episode is mainly looking for who Ini brother is. What is, you know, no one knows him at all, as we've just mentioned. But when they try and figure out and say, hey, could you meet me here this time? You know, we need to kind of talk about stuff. I generally really like the scenes, like the water scenes, the kind of like running about, fighting. The camera angles were superb. Leading into this, mainly it's like Ini brother is like, what am I doing here? Because he kind of remembers what's happened with Miho as Natsumi as well as Kinijo in the previous episode, so it kind of makes him stop fighting. At this point they have said, hey, meet us here, as the battle is over quite quickly and everyone goes their different ways. I will kind of mention this, like I think some of the next scene was quite nice, to be fair. We have everyone waiting at the cafe. What's going on? Who's going to walk through that door? And as soon as they do, this girl comes in with this small dog and everyone's like, there we go, that's him, that's Ini brother right there. But they bring more dogs in, and one's called Taru, and as soon as it's like, what do you want with my Taru? Taru's like, huh? And it's just like, someone's mentioned his name and he's just all for it, which I thought was a really nice scene. But literally just everything kind of goes on. The monster attack goes on. The Gosei monster effectively is running about a lot, and that's causing problems, saying like you need to lose weight. And it's kind of weird that you hear about this, because it's when you see the next scene after, like, they all teleport in, they all start fighting, etc., and it doesn't kind of work. They do throw a rope around Ini brother, and then suddenly the monster, as he's running away, decides that, you know what, I'm gonna go for you, I'm gonna attack, shoots him, and then therefore launches Ini brother off the bridge, and he meets the singer, which again is a really interesting scene for camera angles, which I'll talk about. Now, as he's met Ini brother, he's kind of walked off because he's hurt his head, but he's left his sunglasses, which, you know, obviously makes him demorph, and obviously he's staggered off, and they all look at him and go like, oh my god, hello, how are you doing? It's nice to finally meet you after such a long time. With all the kind of camera angles, the drone shots that we've had, like, you get to see it from a first person type of view, and we see that obviously this singer's hair is orange, like it's really dark orange, but then when you look at other kind of scenes, it's kind of yellow, so it looks like it's been color corrected. But I do love the use of drones, GoPro footage. I think all of this is absolutely fantastic in my eyes, and it's one of the things that I love the most. I love it when they use different sorts of cameras. It looks a bit off, like it's a amateur thing, but it kind of all works in quite well. So now that they think that this guy is Ini brother, that's it. That they decide to, hey, do you want to come fight? And they go fight. He transforms, and we get the first time an entire team morphs together, but it's not Inazuma who's there. He should be there, and I'm like, oh man. It's the one thing I wanted to see, is rather than having a full team morph properly, I would have much have preferred to see like Inazuma there. But no, we get the singer, they do the morph, they do the fighting thing, and that's it pretty much. As everyone defeats this monster, Ini brother does get kind of attacked and kind of demorphs, and this is when Inazuma, he jumps back in and fights, and everyone's like, oh my god, you're back, you're fighting full strength, which again, is quite normal. But after the monster is defeated, he runs off, but then finds a kind of like all you can eat for 800 yen rice bowl type thing, and obviously just starts eating. We see it's actually a guy who does love to eat his food and literally is just constantly eating. And when this girl goes like, oh hey, you do like to eat, he's like, nah, I'm on a diet. Or it's something like, do you want this? He's like, no, I'm on a diet. But a girl turns around and says, nah, I love it, a guy you can eat. Like, I love it that someone loves their food. And he just falls in love straight away, and therefore gets rid of the Gosei monster, who is now floating down wherever looking for a brand new host. And this is when we come into the singer and Inazuma talking about what's going on. And the fact is that Inazuma is going to give him the powers so that no one knows that he is the dog, and therefore it'll be easy. So once everyone is kind of like convinced that this guy is the is Ini brother, it's absolutely fine. He's not just going to give a shit and moves on with it. But it kind of brings into the fact that this guy, this singer, is like now doing all these cool things like, I may shed tears out here, but I shed blood on the battlefield, or something like that, which I thought some of this was kind of cool, but it kind of got a little bit weird in my eyes. Like, not something that I would possibly want to keep saying, but it's generally everybody likes it. And I love the fact that because a celebrational meal has been left out to them, what happens? It's just Don Momotaro just eating normally, doesn't care about the others and all that, which again made me laugh on it quite a lot. But with all heartedly, it moves on, and Inazuma speaks to Kinjo and says, hey, how did you meet Natsumi? Or Miho, tell me all about this. And it just basically goes into a story of the fact that Kinjo got his hair cut every single day. And I don't know if he was wearing a wig, if his hair grows really quickly, but it goes from different sort of styles. And it's something where I think that if I was going to write this story, maybe it could be to the point where they met at different places, rather than him going into work and saying, hey, I like you, be my girlfriend, and thus so forth and so forth. But with this one, as Miho is walking down the street to meet Kinjo, Inazuma runs away. And you kind of think in this sort of element that you would stick about and you would kind of stay around for as long as you could to actually meet her. But I do understand the fact that, you're nervous, you want to run away. But again, I think I would have changed it to the part of, rather than he run away, maybe a police officer turns up and it's like, you, and it's in silence, and then they just decide to kind of run off, and that's it. And that's when Kinjo's like, what's going on? Now, it kind of gets to a point where things are kind of settling down, and Kinjo's like, hey, what are you doing? Where is Inazuma? But then the singer, he just jumps in and goes like, oh my god, you're my girl, to Miho, which causes like a big thing where Kinjo's like, stop, like back off, like this is my girl, this is my wife, stop it, you've got this person completely wrong. And it's just kind of weird because it goes back to the cafe and they start fighting, and it's just like, I'll never fight next to him because he wants to take my Miho. And it's like, no, you're taking my girl, like you don't know what you've done to her. It just gets really messy, like really fucking messy. We get this duel. I understand this fighting thing, but then Miho just suddenly comes out of nowhere. Everyone's hidden their morphers because they're about to fight and they don't want Miho knowing. But they're about to fight, and what happens? Literally, Miho says, I'm this man's wife, you have no competition, you are nothing to me, and then decides to clean Kinjo's ears. And he's like, yeah, this is amazing, I like this. And I'm like, I really don't like you. Like, I can imagine they're like, yeah, this is fun, but it's just like, I can't stand it. I can't stand this one scene out of all of Super Sentai. It's just the most cringiest to me of all time. But with this, the singer gets possessed with the Gosei monster. They all start fighting, and basically Inazuma jumps in, and we get a really kind of cool battle scene. We get some really cool camera shots. I'm looking forward to the day that it's fully like 4K or HD, so it kind of sits in, and we get some really nice fight scenes, which I generally kind of really like. And to kind of finish this all off straight away, we get the humanoid Megazord forms that literally beat the crap out of the guy, and he returns back to normal, starts singing at the very end. We find out that his girl is called Shozo or something like that, who is an American white girl, and I'm like, what? And it's just like, how could you mistake her for pretty much all the girls in Japan? It's a bit weird. It just ends very, very weirdly. It's not the greatest of episodes. I think the camera angles really sort this out, kind of really make it great. But to me, I just generally couldn't get into this episode. But yeah, that is it. What did you think about this episode? Let me know down below in the comments. And let's move on to the next episode.
チャンネルをサポートしてくれてありがとうございます。チャンネル登録、高評価お願いします。以下のリンクから商品を入手することができます。